What if the Bermuda Triangle is missing a point and it's actually the Bermuda Rectangle? How do magnets work? Answers to these questions and more on this episode of This Paranormal Life. Yo! Hey! Welcome back to This Paranormal Life, the comedy paranormal podcast where every week we dissect a different paranormal case, tale, or beast and get to the bottom of whether it's truly paranormal or not. You are joined by the two most illustrious paranormal investigators in this galaxy. My name's Kit Grimalvena. This guy across from me is Roy Powers.
That's right, guys. Welcome to 2020. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be bringing you a whole ton of new investigations with my best pal, Kit Greer.
As with every week, folks, we don't have any time to mess around. We're going to dive right into today's investigation. Today, we are traveling, Rory, to the Bolson de Mapimi in Durango, Mexico. This is a mostly flat desert landscape surrounded in the distance by hills and mountains. But it's also a biological reserve and research area, complete with a research center, which is where one Hector Alvarez worked. And in 2013, Hector's personal handwritten journal notes started turning up on paranormal and conspiracy message boards. At first, he was just documenting the day-to-day of his graveyard shifts, walking around the facility, kind of night at the museum style.
Right, yeah.
He claimed that on these late-night shifts, weird stuff would happen.
This is what we like to hear, guys, because did you say this was a laboratory in the mountains?
Yes, research center in the desert.
In the desert?
Yeah.
Look, there's only a couple people who would put a research center in the desert, all right? And that's the government doing shady stuff.
That's right.
Possibly a Bond villain, or maybe some very smart snakes.
I mean, some sort of university for reptiles.
Yeah. So at least if someone's leaking handwritten notes from this desert lab, it's going to be some confidential stuff.
It's going to be salacious. I think the other people who might have a research center underneath the desert might be, I'm pretty sure it's a plot of a Resident Evil movie.
Yeah.
Potentially.
You'd be kind of pissed if you found all these secret documents and you're like, oh my god, it was a snake. It was just snakes. A lot of this is just about eating eggs.
These aren't even pages from a journal. This is just snakeskin, old snakeskin. Hector felt that whilst weird stuff was happening time and again at the facility, the upper management just weren't really listening or cared. All those fat cats at the research center work the cushy 9 to 5. They don't know what shit goes down at the twilight hour.
All those fat cats working the snakes till their back breaks. And it's tough because they're basically just one long back. Those poor guys.
It's hard to get health insurance whenever you're a slithering back. So for Hector's own sanity, he wanted to start keeping a record because he's mentally noting this stuff, telling it to the higher ups, and they're just swatting it away. So he's like, look, I'm gonna start documenting this. I'll tell goddamn whoever needs to know.
Smart.
Now the stuff in the journal was largely pretty small.
Ironic.
Because it's a biological center, they do a lot of weather research and they have some weather measuring equipment. So He was noticing that on days that were plainly fine, it's the desert, let's be real, the weather doesn't change very much. It's hot and sandy 365 days of the year.
Yeah.
They might as well just keep a little timer on that. It's like, wake me up if it snows, otherwise I don't need to know. But whenever he would go to check the readings, some of the equipment was saying that the weather was like extreme, that there was gale force winds, that there was rain, that there was stuff that plainly was not happening. Or on one night, for example, while Hector was walking through an empty office, all at once, a bunch of computers turned on of their own accord and started playing white noise out of nowhere.
Whoa.
That's pretty terrifying.
This is weird.
He claimed that it kept playing even after he pulled the speaker plugs out of the walls.
What?
Like, that's some horror movie stuff. I would not be going back to work the next day after that happens.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
The next day, Hector tells the IT guy, he goes down and checks it out. He opens up a couple of the computers and he says, it looks like the computer's motherboard has melted under extreme heat. And then things got really weird. Hector wrote about seeing glowing triangles floating outside at night. And with it, there would always be, quote, an odd sound and the rushing of air. But after watching these things for a couple of minutes, not believing his eyes, they would disappear again instantly.
This is crazy. You know, usually when we're investigating a story, within the first 5 minutes, we can kind of get an idea of what we're dealing with here.
Right.
You know, you see a specter floating down the stairs, that's a ghost. You see a man with an axe who's half goat, half human, that's a cryptid. Or a man who f***ed a goat. Still pretty weird and pretty paranormal. We understand these things. You're telling me computers are melting? There's blizzards in the desert? Triangles?
Yeah.
Flowing, the most paranormal shape of all time? That's what the pyramids are.
It's true. All the most paranormal shit, including the paranormal pyramid of truth mentioned on podcast before. I don't remember if I said it was a pyramid, but it's a paranormal shape.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything that Hector's mentioning, there's something creepy about it because it's all so subjective. And like I joke about it being night in the museum, but this is all just happening to Hector. No one else is around. And indeed, no one believes him. It's kind of creepy to think that the noise starts playing out of nowhere or you see like a glowing shape outside. This is all stuff that could make you feel like you're going crazy. You don't know whether it's real or not.
This is Toy Story, but instead of Buzz and Woody, you've got rogue computers and electric triangles flying through the desert.
And then, after almost exactly 3 months of diary uploads, Hector's diary stops. And when someone contacted Mapimi Preserve, they said Hector just left one day and didn't come back. He just didn't turn up for work the next day. The only problem is, his car was still in the car park. Where is Hector today? To understand what is going on here, we need to go further back in time. We're on the same location where on one night in 1970, shepherds in nearby hills looked up into the night sky and saw something bright tear along the sky, falling downwards.
If you're a shepherd and you see something bright in the sky, you're like rubbing your hands together. You're like,
this is it, boys. Talking to your sheep.
Jesus V2. We've done it. We were the chosen ones. They're going to write songs about us and stuff. What's frankincense? Do we have any of that?
I was right for packing my lucky little piece of mirror. I don't even know what mirror is, but I have a piece of it in my back pocket. He checks his back pocket. What? I changed my goddamn trousers before I left the house. I can't believe this. I can't believe my luck. The goddamn Messiah is going to be back and I don't have a gift.
Can we all just like go in on the frankincense, say it's like a group thing?
No, dude, only one shepherd. One gift per shepherd.
Oh, Christ. They finally meet him. We bring gifts. Gold, frankincense, and 12 chicken McNuggets.
I'm starting to think one of these is a truck stop gift.
No.
One of them's an air freshener. One rancher heard his cattle moving, agitated by something. And when he ran over to their enclosure, they too were looking up at this strange light, and it sent them into a blind panic. They bashed into each other and then into the gate, breaking it open. Once free, they started running into the valley. The next day, in the nearby town, the few people who had seen the light talked about what it could have been. Probably a meteor or maybe just a shooting star. Except, a couple of the shepherds weren't convinced. Listen, bro, my cows, they're hard as nails. You think they've never seen a shooting star? These cows live in a beautiful starlit desert valley.
Yeah, that's their Netflix shooting stars. That's all they see, if anything.
That's their relaxing Netflix log burning fire. Helps them get to sleep. There's no way they'd get spooked by a shooting star. It's ridiculous. And they were pretty much right, because it became immediately apparent that something else was up. Within days, US government vehicles started rolling into town.
Whoa.
Which is, by the way, in the middle of nowhere. These guys have no business here. Suddenly, Air Force helicopters and planes are flying overhead as if they're looking for something. And after 3 weeks of searching, they seemed to find what they were looking for. They set up a perimeter on one exact spot and built provisions all around it. They even built an airstrip in this patch of desert, and there was a railway line like somewhat nearby, and they built a new extension onto the railway line that led up just to this exact spot.
That's crazy.
Where they built the airstrip and everything around it.
That's crazy.
Now, Rory, as a veteran paranormal investigator, which, by the way, surprisingly doesn't entitle you to any kind of veteran's discount.
No, I've tried everywhere as well.
Oh, that's interesting. What division were you in? Podcaster? Get out. Get out immediately.
Yeah, telling people that you're a veteran of the paranormal wars will actually not only not get you a discount, but actually get you ejected from a lot of venues.
Yeah, some other veterans usually start crowding around you at that point, put you in a headlock, start noogieing you.
A lot of the real veterans actually beat the shit out of me once at Wimbledon when I tried to hop over the counter and grab a chili dog.
It's probably because you were trying to get a chili dog at Wimbledon. Normally it's strawberries and cream.
They didn't have any chili dogs.
Of course.
I brought the dogs from home. I brought the chili from work. I thought I'd make it on the counter.
Why did you need to hop the counter? You could have at least stood on the wrong side of the counter.
I didn't want them to think I wanted to make a purchase. I didn't want the strawberries. I didn't want the cream.
So you wanted them to think you worked there?
I wanted a mother chili dog and to watch Andy Murray serving up balls.
At what point did you tell him you were a veteran, by the way? What does that have to do with anything?
I actually announced it via megaphone as I tried to make it onto the field, chili dog in hand.
You were wearing all white for some reason, as if you were playing the game. Chili all down your goddamn shirt.
Waving the white flag of war.
Of surrender, you mean?
Not the way I was throwing punches.
He stabbed a guy with a surrender flag.
What I'm saying is, even in 2020, the current year, a lot of people look down at members of the paranormal profession.
It's disgusting. We have to fight that every day.
Yeah.
So what I mean to ask, Rory, is that as a paranormal investigator, we've now got a few clues about what Uncle Sam is looking for. What's your first instinct?
Look, we have a lot of cases where the government rolls up to investigate a site. One of the ways that you can tell how important this is first off, if Project Blue Book stick their beaks in it, which seems to be every other case we investigate.
Sure.
Even when it's not about UFOs, if it's just like a weird looking bird, they'll show up and kill it.
Someone got like a twice the size Dorito.
Yeah, they're
Blue
there.
Book will be there.
But here we have them essentially setting up base. You're talking about building a train station essentially in the desert so that they can examine something that is on this location, and it seems like maybe for some reason they can't remove it.
Right.
Because a lot of times they roll into town, they gank a bunch of stuff, and they roll out. They take it back to Area 51. They take it back to the Pentagon.
That's a great point. It's rare to see them like struggle with something.
Yeah. This is a really interesting case. I'm very excited to see where this one goes.
The truth surprised everyone. It wasn't a meteor from another planet, or indeed a UFO that the army were investigating. It was a missile, allegedly a US test missile.
Oh.
We know this because at the time, once they set up this perimeter, they actually hired a local security force to guard the site. So we know firsthand what was in there because they're goddamn loudmouths.
Okay.
I like the idea of the US military making all these locals sign NDAs, and then at the end of the night they all go to the same bar to drink tequila with their like childhood friends, and they're like, oh yeah, they found a missile in the desert.
Just leaking it all.
But once they had dug out this missile and actually interestingly dug up a bunch of the earth around it, they loaded it all onto trains and took it away on that new railway line. For many, they assumed that this was how the story of this valley ended. But in truth, it was only beginning. The locals began wondering, why did this missile crash there in the first place? The desert valley obviously wasn't the intended target, given that the military didn't even know where the missile was for 3 weeks.
Right.
But while some of the locals worked in the area during the military operation, they noticed some weird stuff. Their compasses wouldn't work in the area. It would just spin around like crazy, or just point in clearly the wrong direction. Not only that, but it was impossible to communicate by radio or walkie-talkie. No matter how close or far away you were, the signal was scrambled into white noise. More and more people started to talk about the mysterious effects of this area, and the local press even started writing about it. They called it Zona del Silencio, or the Zone of Silence.
Wow.
After its effect of silencing all communication or electromagnetic waves.
Is this after the object was removed from the desert or while the object was in the desert?
I think it was while and then afterwards as well.
Afterwards as well? Oh my god. Okay, that's way weirder.
And the believers in its effects were known as zoneros. And the more mysterious effects they looked for, the more they found. It started coming together like a little puzzle. Even the local plants and wildlife were somehow different inside the zone of silence. The plants and animals were bigger, stronger, more, quote, robust than outside the zone. Allegedly, there were sightings of coyotes twice the normal size.
Whoa!
The desert tortoises in the area were growing, apparently, strange triangle shapes on their shells. Even according to some researchers, there was a scientific study which I couldn't find, isn't available online or anywhere, apparently basically no one has ever seen, but that found the local people and animals had a slightly different blood type inside the zone of silence.
You really need some evidence to back a claim like that up. Different blood type is real. It's a big claim.
Pretty easily testable as well, you would think.
Like, I can imagine, sure, a turtle with biceps and a six-pack with a shell shaped like a Toblerone. But I don't. As soon as you start saying humans have different blood types in the zone of silence, you don't know.
I'm gonna need some receipts.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some lab papers.
Have you ever seen the Netflix movie Annihilation?
I have, yeah. This was reminding me a lot about Annihilation.
Yeah, we might have talked about it before on the podcast.
That's a fantastic movie.
It's
definitely
a goddamn treat. It's fantastic. It's like unbelievably high concept, but like very believable as well.
Yeah.
This is a little bit like that, where the paranormal effects of a place, of a geographical location, actually mutate the DNA of plants and animals inside it over time.
You know, if this place does exist and still mutates people, and especially makes them even more jacked, I'm not opposed to a little excursion. I just want to know what the risk is of me getting a Dorito head versus me getting a six-pack.
Right,
I want it, because if it's like 10% chance at Dorito head, 90% chance at six-pack, I'll take those odds.
You'll take it? Okay. Yeah. It's like a classic monkey paw problem. You wish for a goddamn 8-pack and
right.
They're all shaped like cornettos. all 8 of them.
Sticking out of you like spikes.
But what about the missile? How did the zone of silence pull it out of the sky in the first place? That's maybe even harder to explain. We know that the zone scrambles electronic communications, but could it do that? Well, they did get one other clue from 1969 when the Allende meteorite crash landed in the exact same area, give or take 100 miles. And also, that meteorite is pretty famous. I do recommend looking it up. I think I read somewhere that it's the most studied or like researched meteorite of all time. I think because it crashed like right around the space race and like the landing on the moon and everything. So we didn't have that much access, I guess, to samples from space.
Like fresh samples as well.
And it was all kind of new technology. So people were really excited to investigate it. And it turns out it's something like 18 million years older than our entire solar system.
Whoa!
So yeah, not just Earth, but the whole thing, sun and all.
Jesus.
Which is so hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah. Oh my God. But that's like way older than me.
Yeah, well, yeah, by a bit.
Because I'm getting up there, you know? But even this is like old.
Yeah, well, it's like crazy. A bit of a different scale. I mean,
you could like my lifetime's like 30 is even shorter.
Yeah, of course it's shorter.
Like space is crazy.
Because this is like, I mean, to put it in context, I think the solar system is probably like 4.5 billion years old.
Yeah, so like even my dad wasn't around, or like his dad.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Or like my great-great-granddad.
I mean, it doesn't matter how many, it's crazy. How far you back even go in ancestors, because
even your dad,
right,
wasn't around.
That seems like a weird slight, but yeah, no,
that old ass son of a bitch.
Okay, that's
that
enough.
Crusty old fossil.
It doesn't really matter how far back you go. It doesn't matter if it's my dad, my granddad, my granddad's dad, great granddad. Humans
is old. Yeah,
humans have only been alive for 200,000 years. This is 4.6 billion years ago. That's a very different scale.
So not
old.
Even like...
Don't say it. Don't even say what you're about to say.
Not even like my mom's dad.
You already said granddad. That's what that is.
Yeah, but like, because the families are different. I don't know how.
No, that doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Your mom's dad is would be
what's a dinosaur?
80 years old.
What's a dinosaur?
This isn't the time.
Okay, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, probably.
That would be good. That really helped me out when they were around.
Get this far in the podcast and you don't understand how time works.
Because I've seen the movie Jurassic Park, but that was pretty recent. So I was like, if they're still here, then
they're not.
They weren't.
Did you see the movie? That's the point. They're not.
Yeah, I saw it.
So they brought.
I saw
them back.
a T-Rex rip a dude in half.
Okay.
On the screen.
But you understand that they had to bring them back after 64 million years.
Yeah, I saw. They teach you how they did it. Mr. DNA told me how they did it, kid. I understand the process of bringing them back.
But it does seem a little weird that where this missile crashed, about a year previous, there was the Allende meteorite crash. Same location, give or take. Not only that, but in the 1930s, a man named Francisco Sarabia was flying his plane over this zone of silence when his radio mysteriously stopped and the plane crashed. They figured out that whatever mysterious waves are coming out of the zone of silence are creating a vortex that pulls stuff out of the sky.
Wow. This is kind of like the Bermuda Triangle, but on land.
You can probably tell where this is going. The Zoneros started seeing stuff in the sky. They started seeing UFOs, the works. During their research, they claimed to, quote, see and hear beings from other worlds. And this got them thinking, what if these conditions, the communication blackout, the magnetic gravitational vortex, create the perfect conditions for extraterrestrial visitation?
Wow.
What if this is some kind of intergalactic airport?
I like it. I like the ideas.
So this became a pretty popular hangout for UFO enthusiasts, hunters of the paranormal. There's a lot of different theories going on. I have to say, some of this case is a little bit of a mess from that viewpoint. There's a host of people who think that there's an ancient race of humans living, you guessed it,
under the earth, baby. Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
They got a pretty cool name, admittedly. They're called Magneto 10.
Wow.
So I don't know if they're real. But listen, this pretty much brings us up to the current day of the Zone of Silence. This place, I think, initially became a popular attraction for Mexican tourists, people who live maybe a little bit away and hear about that it's an interesting spot to come visit.
Right.
But then it kind of quickly blew up throughout the 70s and 80s, especially as, kind of new age thinking and stuff was kicking off. People are more interested in the paranormal and kind of unusual phenomenon. So it's kind of gone global. But Rory, we got to get to the bottom of whether this any of it really happened or not. There's a few explanations on the table. One of the most popular is that you named it. It's so similar to the Bermuda Triangle that I think we've talked about before, that it definitely has a lot in common. Now, people have hypothesized that because the Zone of Silence intersects about 3 different Mexican states, that it has some kind of special geological location. I've also seen people saying that it does have some kind of latitudinal relationship to the Bermuda Triangle, maybe the Great Pyramid of Giza, other mysterious sites, other mysterious triangles.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
That maybe this is imbuing it with some kind of power. In kind of paranormal lore, people like to talk about ley lines and the paranormal effects of being on certain geographical locations. Do you think there's any reality in that?
Quite possibly. I mean, look, anytime you get the US government showing up and building bases in a specific location, that's always a good start. The fact that it looks like they might have been there to recover a missile, that makes it a little bit harder to say whether this was just a recovery mission or whether this was a larger operation to examine this mystical triangle of silence.
Yeah. The military involvement is tricky. This could be a red herring because them simply being there seems to make this so much more credible. It makes it seem like there's something mysterious and unexplainable about it. But at the same time, the official military line is, we f***ed up. The missile went in the wrong place. We have to dig it out because it's unsafe. Now it's safe again. Good luck to you. We're gone.
Yeah. And usually when it comes to a case like this, I'd like to see a little more evidence. I'd like to see some pictures. I'd like to see some blood samples. But, as we said, the creatures living in this zone are jacked as all hell. They're monsters, essentially. If you send in the toughest and most badass guys to go in there to even try and wrangle a squirrel out and bring it back for examination, they're going to get in there. And that little nut-grabbing bastard is 6 feet tall, sunglasses on, and there's a whole army of them. And they're just like, you picked the wrong tree, motherfucker. Yeah. And you're getting ripped apart by squirrels, getting beaten down by turtles. There's nothing to take back there. The smallest creatures are too big to take back. So, sure, maybe your body has changed a little bit while you're in the zone, but I don't know if when you leave the zone, you go back to being normal again. I don't know how this affects a human body.
And I guess we've kind of got two slightly different things going on here. This place is known as the Zone of Silence for its silencing of all communications. Mm-hmm. The radio signals don't go in or out. The magnetic compass spins around whenever you try to use it in this area. But I wonder if this is truly one and the same as the biological effects, or if these are two different things. It could also be that maybe the Zone of Silence stuff is true. Maybe you truly can't take a phone call in there, but maybe the coyotes aren't twice the size.
Right,
and maybe Hector Alvarez just quit his job because he didn't like his job. It definitely does seem possible that the communication effects could be true without it also being paranormal.
I do like the idea of it being an intergalactic airport where essentially, I mean, if you imagine that there are UFOs circling the globe essentially 24/7, what they don't realize is when they pass over this tiny little spot of land, it's sending up signals that is jamming radar, throwing compasses off. So as soon as they pass through, their cloaking devices are down. Exactly. Their windscreen wipers are going like crazy. So everyone on the ground is just being like, we can see them. We can see all these UFOs. And then as soon as they're out, back invisible, gone again.
Or it's the other way around. I kind of like the idea that the communication blackout means that anything can come and go through this spot in the earth.
And not be detected.
Yeah, you try to go goddamn take a photo of something in there, good luck. You try and, record anything, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, wow, that's cool.
No evidence.
This would be a great place to set up one of those hipster coffee shops that's like, we don't have Wi-Fi.
Try talking to each other.
The radio signals are jammed and your compasses do fuck all here. Why don't you have a conversation like they did in medieval times?
Also be careful because the coffee's twice as strong and actually might burn your insides a little bit.
And the barista's blood type is XYX, which we don't actually know what it means, but it's similar to battery acid. Don't let them bleed on you.
So Rory, at the end of every episode, like it or not, we got to come down to whether this case is truly paranormal or not. Based on what we've seen, what are you saying? Yay or nay today?
Look, as a guy that's been kicked out of a lot of zones of silence in his life, the library, the quiet coach on the train, Wimbledon,
court,
I have a lot of prejudices against silent zones.
Right, you're a pretty loud guy.
I'm a loud guy. Don't shame me for that. But I didn't bring that prejudice to this case.
Yeah.
I wanted to come in with an open mind. I wanted all my radio signals to be jammed. I want my compass to be swinging north to south.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have a clue what was going on. And you achieved that, Kit. Because even though we've investigated this case extensively,
yeah,
I have almost no idea what this thing is. Or why it could be doing this.
Of course.
We did investigate the Bermuda Triangle, right, on a previous episode. I think that was one of yours.
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly where we ended up, but I'm pretty sure it was a double no.
Right. And that's kind of the big daddy of the zones of silence.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest zones and the most silent zones. But there's a lot of interesting things here, having the military show up, having this guy writing writing secret documents about the computers making weird noises, reports of crazy weather out in the deserts, people spotting UFOs. It's one of the things we love, where a plot of land itself is paranormal, rather than, something to do with the people that live there or a house that it's built on.
Yeah.
It's just paranormal ground.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, unless you got a soil sample, paranormal ground is pretty hard to examine. Which is what
it's just dirt.
It's just dirt until proven spooky. What are your thoughts? You investigated the case.
I love this case, but
oh boy,
the trouble with this one is, despite this being supposedly present day, despite this being on paper the most provable case ever, on paper we could just go there today, pull out a compass, pull out a walkie-talkie, test it for ourselves, hang out at nighttime, see if we see some UFOs.
Yeah.
Because it's, like you say, it's a place. It's not linked to, it wasn't some one event back in time. It's supposed to be happening all the time. And yet, I've never seen a goddamn case with less physical evidence.
Right, yeah.
It's insane. For all, like, the different research groups have gone to hang out there. There's so much written about this story, but just no pictures, no videos, no interviews. It just seems to be like a lot of a tourist attraction. I mean, and I hate to say it, but even the story of Hector Alvarez, which is so compelling, like, I've never seen one of these
these letters.
I've never seen one of these letters. I just see everyone talking about Hector Alvarez in his journal. I think it would be probably straightforward to work out whether Hector Alvarez ever worked at the Preserve Center. I don't think he did.
Right.
So it worries me that this may be more of like a internet creepypasta almost than an actual paranormal case.
When you've had more physical evidence in cases where you're investigating ghosts, creatures that don't even exist in the physical realm,
right,
that's usually a red flag.
Yeah. So by the signs of what we're coming down on today, folks, I think today is going to be a double no.
Damn.
Listen, I would love for this one to be proven correct. I would love to go to Durango, Mexico and see this for myself. We could do a little road trip.
I like the sound of that.
See the Zone of Silence firsthand. And then we could always revisit it. Thanks so much to Robin Gardner for sending that one in. A couple of people sent that one in to us. Thanks so much for flagging it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the investigation into the Zona del Silencio. If you have any of your own experiences of the Zone of Silence, please send them in to this Paranormal Life podcast at gmail.com. That being said, there's a number of ways to get in contact. If you're in the Zone of Silence, please drive 3 to 4 miles south, north, east, or west of the zone in order to email us. Otherwise, it's a big problem. The emails bounce. It's a whole thing.
It's a nightmare, frankly.
Yeah, we start getting weird triangle emails showing up in our accounts.
Yeah. We sent a guy out there to check it out, and his plane just nosedived into the sand. Pretty sure he lives there now. He's like 12 foot.
There are a number of ways to get in contact. You can hit us up on Twitter. That's twitter.com/thisparaLife, facebook.com/thisparanormallife. Check out the Secret Society.
Yeah.
That's where other jacked triangles are hanging out, talking about things that triangles care about.
That's the zone of noise. People screaming, bashing pots and pans together, yelling at the stars to come down and fight them.
Yeah, if you want a good night's sleep, don't log on there within an hour of going to bed. And as always, if you want to be in the secret circle, where you can learn the secret sauce and get the secret goddamn t-shirt, head on over to patreon.com/thisparanormallife.
It's 2020, guys, and I know all y'all got some Christmas money. So what better way to...
a little threatening.
Yeah. I shouldn't be holding the knife while I say it, granted, but what better way to start your year than with a whole backlog of bonus episodes that you will get as soon as you join us at the This Paranormal Patreon.
Listen, it's January. Life sucks.
It does.
All the joy of winter has been and gone. You took down your tree, you threw it in the goddamn trash. You're carrying a little holiday weight, frankly.
Of course.
Life isn't so sweet. And sometimes just to get through, just to ease yourself into the new year, you just need a couple laughs.
Yeah.
So check out the bonus feed over on Patreon, where from $5 a month, you get access to all our bonus episodes. There's a big backlog. $20 a month gets you This Paranormal Life Cults or Commune t-shirt.
You got to get it right.
I got to get it right.
Because it's a new year and we got to make sure that we get the message right.
There's been a lot of new listeners since the last time I f***ed that up. So we'll take it out.
We haven't said
and they won't know any different.
That would be great.
That would be ideal. And at the end of every episode, we like to take the time to shout out those who've supported us on Patreon. That's what we're going to do right now. So special thank you to Georgia Gibson. Well, if it isn't Georgia Gibson, the Georgia Gibbon.
Whoa.
The most violent gibbon to ever be let loose in a zoo. I don't know how they got access to Patreon or PayPal or any of that.
What is a gibbon? A bird? A monkey?
It's a monkey.
Okay. I knew it was one or the other.
Wait, is it? It's a cute as hell monkey, but not Georgia. Georgia's very antisocial. It's kind of while the other Gibsons are eating bananas, having a good time swinging around, Georgia's just flicking a butterfly knife. They're like, we don't know how she got it. But
why would they allow that in a zoo?
I think it came from Atlanta and then...
It came from the big city, yeah.
So,
I mean, there's a lot of signs that say don't feed the animals. Very little that say don't give the animals butterfly knives.
Yeah.
Because that should be pretty much before the food one. Because they could eat some popcorn. They're fine with that.
It's not going to be the end of the... It's not going to kill all the other gibbons.
Yeah. Don't give a gibbon a knife.
Thanks also to Harley D. Brubaker.
Harley D, the brewer and the baker.
Whoa.
That's right. He's a baker who bakes his own beer.
Insane.
It's a little wheaty, sure, because it's mostly just bread and beer in a bottle mashed together. But
can you drink it?
It's not so much a drink as like a
loaf.
A loaf. You can't so much drink it as you can toast it with butter.
Okay.
But it does get you pissed, and that's what's important. Congratulations, Harley, in nailing the alcoholic bread.
Special thanks to Ben Hoffman. You know, Hoffman is the kind of name you might give yourself if you were, in reality, a Mothman.
It's pretty similar, but different enough. You know, it doesn't jump to mind straight away.
That being said, if you do look like you have kind of little bulges on your back where there might be wings, we might have taped on some wings.
Yeah.
If you've got like a couple extra eyes that most humans don't normally have, the Hoffman might give it away.
You're going to need more than a name change to fix those problems, buddy. That's like looking like a little shifty demon and calling yourself Spring Hill Jerry. It's too close. Just call yourself Mike.
Thanks so much, Ben. Thanks also to Becky Baker.
Becky Baker, the Specky Breaker. That's right, the biggest bully on the playground. She was punching people with glasses nonstop, breaking those speckies.
How is she not expelled?
Honestly, I don't understand it either, but by hanging those nerds upside down, she's collected enough collective money to support us on Patreon. And
hey, wow.
We've accepted more ill-gotten gains than just punching up weak children. So, I'll take it, Becky.
I bet they were annoying.
Sure, why not? That'll help me sleep at night.
Thanks also to Eleanor.
Eleanor the Felloner. If it ain't illegal, she ain't doing it. You want to go for a walk in the park? Only if you're not allowed to walk in that park.
Yeah. Oh, you see the don't walk in the grass sign?
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
Eleanor doesn't care. You want to go to the movies? Sure, she'll go to the movies and stab someone while the movie's playing.
Well, oh, she didn't need to go to the movies to do that. I thought you were going to say, like, talk all through it or, like,
not illegal.
Sneak some popcorn in.
Technically not illegal.
True,
also.
True.
So you got to go straight for the stabbing.
Okay.
So Eleanor's a bit of a liability, but she seems to be on our side, so I'm fine.
Thanks also to Martin Syndrome Camargo. I tell you what, where Camargo, we go. Because this guy is so paid up. Wherever he goes, he's just leaving fat tips. He's just dropping coins left, right, and center.
Yeah.
He's like flicking through his wallet and he finds like anything under a 50-pound note is annoying to him. That's like chump change. He's just throwing it away.
He drops
and
it.
We're like, we need that. We need that for the comedy.
He's like a cartoon billionaire. As he
Yeah.
walks, it kind of like leaks behind him like a flow of cash.
Exactly.
Martin, let us be your entourage.
Yeah.
We'd like to be your entourage.
Thanks also to Wayne Shargualaf and Zoe San Nicholas. Well, we may be in the month of January, but if it isn't Zoe Old San Nick. I don't know what Wayne's relationship to all this is.
Yeah, how did he get involved?
St. Nick's manager?
I guess.
Cutting off 10%?
That seems kind of mean because St. Nick is doing it all in the spirit of Christmas. So I don't know what 10% of the spirit of Christmas is, Wayne.
This is 10% of the children's joy.
Yeah.
Not really sure. But I hope you guys had a profitable and enjoyable Christmas period. We know we did. But thank you both so much for the support. Thanks also to Sophia Beck.
Sophia, not even the zone of silence could stop me from verbalizing how happy I am about you supporting us on Patreon.
Yeah, Jesus. I wish you would be silent.
I'm
slightly
psyched,
loud.
Sophia. I'm psyched about it. And you can send in the military, you can send in UFOs or some jack turtles to try and shut me down, and I ain't gonna shut up. So thank you.
Thanks also to Carrie Cuddlefish.
I too would like to carry a cuttlefish in my hands as it cuddled me. I don't know if I need to be underwater for that or if he can survive above water.
I think you need to be underwater.
I have to be under.
Well, as long
That's
as
a
your
deal
hands
breaker.
on it.
No,
Oh,
that's a deal breaker for
you-
me. I'd rather have it dying in my arms
Okay.
than get wet.
You don't get a cuddlefish.
Oh,
Thanks also to Tristan Dorsey. You know what? I endorse Tristan Dorsey.
nice.
He's a good man. He, granted, has a somewhat controversial past. Some sort of sketchy dealings.
I don't know why you're you've only mentioned bad things so far.
I'll say it, he's a crook. He's absolutely...
You endorse him?
He's connected with all the wrong people. He's
That's
rude,
you, though.
belligerent,
He said he was involved with you.
nasty.
You shouldn't endorse
Overall,
this man.
a crook. But god damn it if I don't endorse him to be mayor of New York City. Thanks also to Jess Stratton.
Jess Stratton, the Queen of Manhattan. Born and raised, then dead, then resurrected. she's a queen of
She's
the...
an undead queen?
That's right. She's lived in Manhattan for the last 500 years, longer than anyone else has.
This sounds like a Romero zombie movie. The undead queen of Manhattan?
Her ancient Gothic mansion, sure, it's now a Burger King, but she
course.
still haunts it like it's her own. Jess, I'm glad you haven't moved out. Don't let the gentrification of Manhattan push you to the sides.
I don't even know if McDonald's counts or Burger King counts as gentrification.
I don't know either.
Thanks also to Miss Smilla. Miss Smilla, the cuttlefish killer.
Oh no!
She adopted a lot of cuttlefish over the Christmas. You know what they say, cuttlefish is for life, not for Christmas.
Right.
But she didn't realize that, they gotta be in water.
In water.
99.9% of the time.
I mean, I would just say 100 if it's that high.
Not sure, because it is high. It's 99.99999999999%.
It's pretty high, yeah.
Yeah, but not 100.
It's like a lion can't be underwater pretty much at all, but he could probably survive for like a minute. So you just want to say don't put the lion underwater.
And granted, she did lift them out of the water for a millisecond, and they were all dead.
Wow.
So
I don't think those fish wanted to live.
what? Thanks also to Jack Whittaker.
Again, Jack Whittaker is a little bit like Jack the Ripper.
Ooh,
You know?
Yeah.
You're kind of going for that similar name thing. Granted, Jack, you can't be walking around the streets of London 4 a.m. with a blade.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you change your name. People are going to know.
At least pick a different, like Whitechapel, really? The same
place.
area?
So cliche. Go to Manhattan with Jess. Tear up that Burger King.
No one will expect it. Thanks also to Sarah Mabry.
Sarah Mabry, I don't want to scare you, Sarah, but you are the source of my glee. Magli. My glee is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it was a little clumsy, but don't take it away from me, and certainly don't take it away from Sarah.
You don't sound gleeful.
Well, now I'm pissed, frankly, because I'm getting called out about how I pronounce shit. I'm scared. Sarah's scared.
Scared? Why?
Scared. I didn't want to scare Sarah. And now
did a pretty bad job.
Sarah, I'm sorry for my for my partner rudely interrupting your shout out, but thank you for your support.
Lastly but not leastly, thank you so much to Mary Ellen Taylor.
Mary Fallon Taylor. That's right. She can't make an item of clothing without it being illegal.
That's hard. What?
She will make a jacket that's also a bomb.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's all pretty hardcore stuff.
It's kind of, it'll be like, this jacket is beautiful. Oh wow, this beautiful jacket. Oh my goodness, it feels so soft. What is it made of? 50% cotton, 50% heroin. You can't, if you cross a border, you will be locked up for life.
Yeah. Oh, I like these shoes. What are they? Well, it's your basic leather finishes and about 80% cuttlefish.
No.
That's right. The endangered cuttlefish. I killed them all. Hey, it's illegal, but it looks good. You're a great tailor.
That's what matters.
That's what matters.
Hey, thank you so much to everyone we've shouted out on this episode and everyone we are yet to shout out. Thanks for hanging in there and being so patient. We're getting through all our beautiful supporters slowly but surely. Make sure and tune in next week when we will be back on Tuesday with a brand new paranormal tale.